able to post to the discussion board yesterday? Awesome. Jennifer, did you post? I know that you guys did a good job with your posting to the first discussion board. Remember, there were 2 discussion boards that were due yesterday, right? There was the introductory discussion board, which I graded that today, and you guys all did a wonderful job. And then there was the first post to the discussion board 2. Okay, and I went over that in Monday's chat. So did you guys both get a chance to watch Monday's chat? Okay, awesome. Very important that when you cannot make chats, that you try to watch the archives, because I try to give you enough information on the archives, not only to help you understand how to use Excel, but also to help you guys understand how to complete the assignment. So whenever you miss, I understand that you can't necessarily make it to every single chat, and I also understand that because one's in the morning, one's in the afternoon, some people have day jobs, some people have night jobs, which is why I switch it up a little bit. So if you can't make one of the chats, that's fine. Just make sure that you watch the archive, and the archives hopefully will give you enough information. And of course, if it doesn't, always make sure you ask, because I'll be more than happy to give you that information. Now, one little side note: next week, I don't think this is going to be a problem. I don't think that it's going to mess anything up with me or with you. But next week, I told you guys I'm working on my doctorate here at CTU, and so for the doctorate program, we do it online, but we can't do it all online. So we actually have to go to school sometimes, and I do not live in Colorado. I live in Memphis, and so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go to Colorado, and we have like little classes for a week, and then we get to come home again. So I don't know. I've been looking and trying to find a schedule to see whether or not it's going to conflict with this class or not, the timing. So watch the announcements and watch your emails. If there is going to be a conflict, like if the class time is going to run into your class time, I might have to move the seminar back, or I might have to move it to Friday or something like that. So just like I said, keep your eye on the announcements and the emails, and if I have to move it, I will be sure to let you know. However, I'm going to do everything in my power not to move it, because I know it's easier if you don't have to, every day, what time's our chat? What time's our chat? So I'm going to try very hard, but like I said, I'm having trouble finding a schedule, so I don't really know how that's going to work. So if I find out that there is going to be something conflicting, I will be sure to let you know. But for right now, assume that everything will go off without a hitch, because I like to assume everything's going to go the way it should. All right, so what we're going to do this week is we're going to talk about this week's assignment. So let me see. Okay, so can you guys see my computer screen okay? Okay, can you see it, Marcia? Oh, there she is. Marcia, you just popped out for a second. Are you back? Can you hear me okay? Uh-oh. Marcia, can you hear okay? Okay, Marcia's not answering. I'm hoping that she's going to be able to hear okay and participate here in just a second. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Okay, so what we're going to do... Oh, okay, Jennifer. Thanks. Yeah, technology. Everybody said that our lives were going to be so much easier once they introduce all this technology, and I find that our lives are not easier. Maybe they're easier, but they're more frustrating too. So yeah, technology is good only to a certain extent. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to work on this week's assignment this week. And the way that I generally do this is we open up, we work on the project, and as we work through the project, I explain to you the different concepts, the different techniques, and we also talk a little bit about how this can apply in a real-world application. So what I want you guys to do, and I'd like you guys to work along with me. Some people find that it's harder for them to work along and listen at the same time. So if you feel that way, that's fine. You don't have to work along with me. The nice thing about working along with me is that if you get stuck, or if you get to a point where you can't, where you don't really understand what's going on, you can say, hey, wait, I don't understand why we're doing this, or I don't understand how this works, or I don't understand what's going on, or whatever the case may be, while we're in class. And then if, hey, Tanisha. And then once you've, so that's the benefit of actually working through it with me. However, if you're one of the people who has trouble working through at the same time, that's fine. Just sit and watch the chat. And then when you're done, you can go back and you can download the archive. And then the nice thing about being able to download the archive is you can stop, you can pause, you can go back. And so you can kind of go back and forth as you're working through the problem. Now, I am going to tell you, especially if you're working from the archives, do not move forward on to the next step until the step that you completed is exactly correct. Okay, so don't move on to the next step until the step you've completed is exactly accurate. Okay, we don't want you skipping steps because that results in lost points. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I hate to do more than anything in the world is take points off, especially if I can tell that you understood the concept, but you just missed something. So I really, 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 I hate doing that. I have to, because that's the rubric, and you're being tested on that, so I have to do it. But I would rather not if I can avoid it. So you can help me by making sure you do everything, and then that way we don't miss out. So poor Marcia, she is having the worst time. All right, so this is how I do it. The first thing I do is I start with, I open up a Word document. And then when you open up the Word document, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Some people like to print it off. But I always recommend that you do something so that you can actually check things off as you go. Because if you don't check things off as you go, that's when you tend to miss steps. If you're just like eyeballing it, you're saying, okay, I did this, okay, I did this, okay, I did this. That's when you tend to miss steps. So I really, really do suggest that you either copy it into like a Word document where you can X things out, or that you download it. A lot of people like to just print it, and then you can just check things off with a pen or a highlighter or whatever when you're going through. Okay, so I put it in a Word document because that way we can highlight it and mark it off as we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to click here where it says Week 1 Individual Project. Okay. So we're going to click that, and what that should do is it's going to open your project. Now, I'm using Firefox, which is why this happened. So it asked me if I want to open it with Microsoft Excel, which I do. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and then I'm going to close out this downloads page because I don't need it. Now, sometimes it shows up, sometimes when it opens, especially this first time, sometimes it'll open and you've got no ribbon. Okay, so it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? So if you open it and there's no ribbon, look up on the top here, and somewhere like right about the middle, you're going to see a little button that says Enable Editing. Enable Editing. I'll type that out for you. Enable Editing. Okay? So if you don't have a ribbon, but you have that button, and usually it's yellow, and it says Enable Editing, just click on that. Okay? And what that does is it makes it so that you can edit your document. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to edit our document. Okay? All right, just give me a little shout out once you get to this point so that I know that you're ready to move on to the next thing. Excellent, Jennifer. Oh, poor Marcia. She's just having the worst time. She might have to watch the archive. I hate when people have problems. It is so frustrating. It's frustrating for me because I know how much it's frustrating you. And I just hate that you're having problems because I know that it's driving you nuts. Just trying to going in and out and in and out. I know how frustrating that is, and I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Yes, Tanisha, and I was actually saying that earlier, that if you're one of the people, some people have trouble going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between the chat, looking at the pictures, and then doing the thing. So that's fine. If you want to do that, just do it on the archive. The cool thing about doing it on the archive is you can pause it after each step, go do it on your spreadsheet, and then come back and then move forward. Now, if you get lost, of course, yeah, Marcia, I see you cutting in and out too. I hate it. I'm so sorry. I try to follow on the screen. Try to watch on the screen as much as you can. Hopefully that'll explain most of it. Hopefully too, when you come back on the archive, it'll all be available for you. I hope. And if you have problems, let me know. Yeah. Tanisha's right. F5 works a lot. F5 works a lot. Okay. So the first thing we always do is we save our project. So you're going to go to the file. Okay. You're going to choose Save As. Now, navigate to wherever you want it. I always put my stuff on my desktop just because I'm working on it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this IT254, and we're just going to put our first initial and our last name. So what you're saving it as is Al Hall. Well, I'm Al Hall. You obviously are not Al Hall. But J. Boron, L. McShane, M. Preval, and T. Johnson, okay, as it fits, obviously. So save it. It should be your first initial, last name, _ week 1 IPA. Okay, and that's the format we're going to use for saving every single one of our assignments. Remember, the first thing you're going to do, whenever even if you just open a blank spreadsheet, first thing you do is save it, okay? Why do we save it first? Why do we save it before we even make any changes to it? Why is it so important that you save it first? Why do you think? Right, exactly. You could lose it. Right. If it crashes, I don't know about you, but I tend to kick my feet around when I'm sitting at my desk, and sometimes I'll kick the plug out or something. I'm just really lame that way. So it totally, all of a sudden your computer blanks out and you're like, oh my gosh, where'd it go? And then you're like, oh man, I kicked out the plug again. So you plug it back in and then nothing's there. Because until you save it, once you save it that first time, that autosave kicks in. Autosave is automatically set up in Microsoft Office 2010. It automatically saves every couple minutes. So then the maximum you're going to lose is just a couple minutes of work. And so when you go to open the program again, it'll say, oh look, we found this program that wasn't saved properly. Did you want to use that one? And you're like, oh yes, thank goodness. So always save it first. Even if it's a blank document, save first. Save. Always the best thing. Because that way you lose less of your work. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we did that. Now, the next thing it says make a duplicate of the worksheet called report. Now, remember we said the sheets are down here at the bottom, right? So we can see in this one, do you guys remember how many sheets does a workbook have by default? So you guys remember? How many sheets does it have by default? No. When you first open it, how many sheets are visible? Okay, right, 255 is the maximum you can make. But when you first open it, do you know how many sheets are in there? 3, exactly. There are 3 sheets by default. Okay, so by default there are 3. Now in this one there's only 1. The reason is because there were 2 more sheets before, but there was nothing on them, so they deleted them because you don't want to keep a bunch of blank. I mean, how many of you guys work in an office and you have file folders full of blank pages? You don't do that, right? Usually you put a new page in whenever you have to, but you don't just keep a bunch of blank pieces of paper in a folder. Same thing with this. Delete whichever ones you aren't using. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to duplicate this sheet, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret, okay? Here's a secret. Whenever you don't know what to do, okay, think about where you are. So if you're in the sheet, you're usually going to be working in the tabs. Okay, if you're talking about a cell, you're going to be up here. If you're talking about a column, you're up here. If you're talking about a row, you're over here. But you go into whatever you're working in. And here we're working with a sheet. So I'm going to go into the tab. Then if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to right click. Okay? I'm going to say probably about 90% of the time, whatever it is that you need to do is going to be in that menu that pops up. Now notice I get a different menu here than I get here. Okay, so different menus for different things. Okay, so I get different menus for different things depending on where I put my cursor when I click. Okay, so in this one I want to duplicate. Okay, so if I want to duplicate the sheet, which command am I going to choose? Which one do you think? Which command if I'm going to duplicate my sheet? Okay, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. That would make it so that you could work in all sheets at the same time, and we're not really going to do a lot of that this time. Maybe if we have a chance, I'll show you what it does, but no. We want to duplicate a sheet. Do you see any commands in there that look like comparable to duplicate, or maybe a synonym for duplicate? What does duplicate mean? Right, we're going to copy. So we see this command here, move or copy, right? So we're going to select that, move or copy. Okay. Now it says, right here we have this little checkbox that says create a copy because we actually want to create a copy. Okay, so we're going to check that so we can create a copy of this. And then we're going to choose OK. And now you should have two sheets, one that says report with a 2 in parentheses next to it, and one that says report. They should be both identical. Okay. And I can show you how they're different. See, now I have, see, this one has that column D highlighted, this one doesn't. But otherwise, they're both identical. Okay, so let me know when you've got that. Now, the cool thing about that whole right-click command is, you know, if you're working, a lot of people are really scared of Excel. Okay? They just don't want to do it. They're scared. They don't understand. You know, it's intimidating. It is very intimidating. So the thing is if you know how to do Excel, people love you forever, okay? They will like keep you on staff just because you know how to do Excel, or they will hire you just because you know how to do Excel. But they're also curious. They like to stand and stare over your shoulder to see how you do stuff, okay? So that's the thing. When you're not sure how to do something, you right-click because then you never make a mistake. You right-click and they're like, oh, wow, they always know what to do. They always know how to do the right thing because you're right-clicking. So even if you have no clue what the next step is, if you right-click, that may lead you to what you're supposed to be doing, okay? So right-click makes you look really smart. So just remember that. Right-click's so important. So what we need to do now is we need to rename this tab. We're going to rename it Data. So we're going to right-click again. Remember, right-click. Always right-click. That's the first thing you should try if you're not entirely sure how to do something. The other way you can do it, okay, so you can do right-click and choose Rename, okay, or you can double-click in the tab, okay, so double-click in the tab or right-click and choose Rename. Either one of those works, and we're going to call it Data. Now, here's something really interesting, okay, the spell check, and yes, you do have a spell check in Excel, okay, it's in your Review tab. There's your spell check right there. Now, you can put it on your Quick Access menu if you want to, okay. We always spell check before we give somebody something because remember what it means when we don't spell check, it's kind of like leaving the bathroom with our skirt tucked up and our pantyhose, right? It's really embarrassing when you give something to your boss and it's like completely filled with spelling errors, right? Because then your boss thinks you're not professional. Okay, so we always spell check. Now, here's the thing. Excel does not spell check your tabs. It does not spell check your tabs. How annoying is that? I mean, really? So you need to double check your tabs to make sure everything's spelled right. If you're not sure, something that works really well is you can copy your tab name. You can go put it in a Word document. Just stick it in a Word document and see if it underlines. You know, if it underlines, okay, obviously you've spelled it wrong and you need to go in and fix it. Okay? And then you can just copy and paste the correct spelling back into your tab. Okay? That's a really good way of spell checking. You can also spell check it up by putting it in one of the cells. That works too. You just put it in the spell and then hit the spell check and that'll do it. But it does not spell check the tabs. It only spell checks the cells. So keep that in mind. Okay. Again, don't want to go out with your skirt up in your pantyhose. Okay. So now we have two sheets. We have Data and we have Reports. Okay. Two sheets. Now, That was this right here. Okay, now it says make data the active sheet. Right now, report is my active sheet. How do I know that report is my active sheet and data is not? How do I know that report is my active sheet? Right, exactly. Report is right. Okay, also if you look at the tab, there's no like line over the top of it. See how it just sort of dips down into report? So that's how I know report is active. So I want to make data the active sheet. See, now data is active because it's the white one, right? It's the highlighted one, like Tanisha, that's a good word. So it's the highlighted one, so I know that's my active sheet. Okay, so that was the second thing. Now see how easy this is? I mean, how worried are you guys now? Are you guys like starting to relax a little bit, right? You feel a little bit better? This is not hard. This is not hard, okay? It's hard if you don't know what you're doing, but when you start working with it, when you start playing with it, and seriously, sit in front of your TV, click on everything, right click on things until you're comfortable with it. It's just like riding a bike. Tanisha, it's just like riding a bike, I swear. You know, the first time you rode it, right, you went flying down that street and you slammed into the car because you couldn't stop, right? Or you fell down at the bottom of the hill because you couldn't stop. But the better you got, right, then eventually you started riding and you'd have one hand and, you know, you no problem with the braking, right? You go screaming down that hill and then you brake at the very bottom and you're fine. Pretty soon you start riding with no hands. Next thing you know, you're riding and texting at the same time because you're comfortable, right? Same thing with Excel. The more you use it, the more you do that. What I tell you to, Tanisha, sit in front of the TV, click on everything, right click on everything, read what it says. The more you do that, the more comfortable you are. And pretty soon you're going to be, you know, riding no-handed, texting while you're riding, okay? I know, right? Have you ever seen people doing that? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's like, are you nuts? You're going to get yourself killed. Okay, row 2 will be used to hold column names. Name the first column job title, name the second column full name, name the third column manager. Okay, now this is row 2. Okay, this is row 2. How do we know this is row 2? Right, exactly, because it's got a little number 2 at the side, right? Because it says 2. So that would be a really good way to know, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by typing in cell A2. We know that this is cell A2 because it says it in the name box. Because I know sometimes it's just too obvious, Tanisha. Just blurt it out. If it's obvious, it's probably right. It has the black box around it, and the A and the 2. The A and the 2 are highlighted, right? So we know that this is cell A2. So what we're going to do is we're going to type job title. Okay, then we're going to hit the tab key to move to the right. Tab key to move to the right. And then we're going to type full name. And then we're going to tab to the right and we're going to type manager. Now, don't worry, the job title is not showing. See how it goes job 2. Okay, don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. Okay, no worries. Okay, so let me know when you've got job title, full name, and manager typed in there. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so that means we've done 3. Okay, see how easy this is? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, Tanisha. You're going to be fine. Okay, select and move the data in columns B and C to the left so that it aligns with the CEO data. Keep the data in the same rows even if there are blanks separating them. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, but watch, it's going to be easy. We're going to do this several different ways. So pay attention. Now, you do not have to do it all these ways, okay? I'm showing you different ways to do it because, like, you know, when you go to Walmart, you know, you're driving to Walmart, right? You're driving down the main drag, and then all of a sudden there's like an accident there. So the road is blocked off. So what do? You hang a quick right, you go through the subdivision, you go around the accident, and then you get back and you get to Walmart, right? You know a lot of different ways, especially in your hometown, right? You know like 37,000 different ways to get to Walmart because everybody knows that you have to know how to get to Walmart, right? So, so you know like a bunch of different ways to do it. Same thing in Excel. If you can't do it one way, there's lots of other ways to do the same thing, okay? There's not just one way to do everything. There's more than one way. And I'm going to try to show you the more than one way each time so that you don't get stuck. You know, sometimes you're doing something one way and it's not working. Fine. Say, fine, if you're going to be that way, I'm going to do it another way, but we're going to get it done because you are in control, you're the boss, you, not the computer, is in control. So the first way we're going to do it, we're going to select these cells. I selected by clicking and dragging, and there's different ways we can do this too, and there are different ways we will be doing this. First way, we're going to click in the first cell, and we're just going to drag to the last cell. Okay, and we're just taking this little block right here. Okay, so from cell B4 to cell C7. Okay, remember that's called a range. This particular one is a contiguous range because everything's all connected. Okay, so we're just going to highlight all those. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our cursor over any of the edges until it makes a cross with arrows on all the sides. Okay, so until it makes a cross with arrows on all the sides. Hey, Penny. Once it makes a cross with arrows on all the sides, we're going to left click, and then we're going to very carefully drag it one column to the left. Now, you can see that there's little polka dots there. Hold on, you guys. This is my mom. My dad's in the hospital. Hold on just 1 second. I have got to take this. Okay, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. I don't usually do that, but like I said, my dad, he's getting ready to go into neurosurgery. He's having some problems. He's in the hospital, so I'm like really right on the edge of my seat right now. So whenever my mom calls, it's like I got to take that call. So usually I don't do that. I am so sorry. And this will not continue. I promise. Okay. So here, let's do that one more time. Okay. So what we did is we clicked in Finance, we dragged down to Nina Sharp. We moved our cursor over the edge until it made a cross with an arrow on each of the 4 sides. We click and we drag. Now just keep dragging, okay? You may not see, it may not look like it's moving. Just keep going. Keep going to the left until all of a sudden you're going to see that little polka dot line move over a little bit, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to let go. That is one way. That is one way to move data. One way. Now remember I said there's lots of ways. Okay, so we did it that way is the first one. Okay, did you guys get that? Did it work for you? Awesome. Okay, now we're going to select our data differently this time. This time we're going to click in cell C8. Oh, when we made the new tab, Lisa, is that what you missed? Oh, hey, Beverly, I didn't see you come in. Is the part you missed on making the new one? If you missed the making the new one, just follow along with this, and then you can go back to the archive and see how to make the new tab. Okay. It's all in the archive. I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning again, so that I'm in the data report sheet, but no information on the report sheet. Okay, because you didn't do it right. You didn't copy it right. Okay, so don't worry about it for now. Just keep moving. Just keep moving along, and then you can go back to the archive. And then if you have any questions when you're watching the archive on how we did it, then make sure you let me know. Okay. Awesome, Marcia. Cool. Okay, now we're going to select our data differently this time. We're going to click in cell C8. Okay, we know it's C8 because it says so in the name box, and also the C is highlighted and the 8 is highlighted. Next, we're going to hold down the Shift key, and we're going to click in cell D14. Okay, so what we did is we clicked in cell C8, then we held the Shift key down, and we clicked in cell D14. Okay, cool way to select stuff, huh? That's an easier way. If you want to select a lot of data, that's a really easy way to do it. Shift or click in the first cell on the top left, then hold the Shift key and click in the bottom cell on the bottom right. That's the easiest way to do it. All right, now, second way we're going to do it right-clicking. Remember I said right-clicking usually has all of the things that you need, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click this time, just in case you didn't know how to do that draggy thing. What you're going to do is you're going to put your cursor anywhere in the shaded block. Anywhere in the shaded block. We're going to right-click. We're going to choose Cut. Okay, not copy, because we're not copying the data, we're cutting it, meaning we're totally eliminating it from these cells. So we're going to cut, and then we're going to click in cell A8. We're going to right-click, and we're going to choose Paste. Okay, and that's going to move that data over. Okay. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the data here, and you can select that however you want to. Okay, because those are pretty much the two ways to select data. There's one more way, but I'll talk to you about that later. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the manager and SWWIX. So I just clicked it by clicking and dragging. Now this time we're going to go up and we're going to click on the scissors. We're going to click on the scissors in the Home tab. We're going to click on the scissors. Then we're going to click in cell A15, and we're going to click on the Paste. Okay, so we're going to click on the scissors and then click on the clipboard. Okay. And then the last one, we're going to select this group right here. And this time we're going to use our key combination. So we're going to do Control. We're going to hold the Control key down. We're going to click on C. C as in cut. Then we're going to move into cell A16, and we're going to hold the Control key down again, and we're going to press on V as in victory, V to paste. Oh man, it's X, Control X to cut. Control X, I'm an idiot, I'm sorry, Control plus X, like as an X-ray, to cut, and then Control plus V to paste. Okay? Control plus C, you probably figured out, is to copy. We don't want to copy, we want to cut. Control X to cut, Control V to paste, and Control C to copy, but we're not copying, so. X the letter, yes. Control X the letter. Hold the Control key down and click on X the letter to cut. All right, now, you guys are probably like me, and this mushy A over here with this column of all this mushy stuff is probably driving you nuts. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our cursor up between the A and the B right on that line until it makes a bar with an arrow pointing left and an arrow pointing right. And we're going to double click. Okay, what that does is that's the auto fit function. Okay, that's the auto fit function, and what it does is it automatically finds the cell that is the widest, and it makes the column fit that widest cell. So for us, that would be this customer service representative. Okay, now, for those of you who watch the video, I end up doing this different every time, so don't worry about it. If you get the names different, don't. It's no big deal, but just follow along, and if you've got it mostly the same, then you're fine. Okay? These managers I switch up a lot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make Gil Joubert. He's a manager, so what we're going to do is Control C. Control C, we're copying this time. Control C. Okay, now he's the manager of all the managers, so we're going to click in this cell right here next to John McClain. We're going to hold the Control key down, and we're going to click next to Nina Sharp. still holding the control key down, we're going to click next to SW Wix. Okay, so now we have all the managers selected. Okay, hold the control key down and click next to Office Manager, Manager, and this manager. Then Control V, as in Victor, to paste. Okay, then press the Escape key to get out of that. Then then we're going to click on this Office Manager, John McClain, and we're going to select these two guys over here. That's who John McClain is in charge of. So we're going to click and drag to select those two cells. Then Control V to paste. Then we're going to select Nina Sharp, Control C to copy. And of course you can be using these too. This is the copy command. So you can copy and paste that way too. Okay, so Control C and Nina Sharp. Nina is over all these people. And then we're going to do SW Wix, Control C to copy, and then we're going to drag down through all these customer service reps, and we're going to do Control V to paste. Okay. Gil Joubert does not have a manager. He is the manager. He's the boss. He's the bossiest boss of them all. Okay. All right, so let me know when you've got that done. Awesome. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill in all of these cells here. So what I want you to do is click in Software Analyst, pull it down all the way till it gets to the cell right above the manager there. So you're selecting A8 to A14. We're going to go over here into the Editing group on the Home tab. We're going to go to the Fill Down command. And we're going to choose down. Okay, so up on the upper right hand side in the editing group, the fill down command, which looks like a little page with the arrow pointing down, we're going to expand that menu. We're going to choose the down. Okay, and see what that does? It fills everybody in, right? Okay, and we're going to do that one more time down here. We're going to select customer service rep. We're going to go down. This time, instead of going all the way up into the menu, did you guys notice there was a key combination for this? Did you guys see what it was? Did you see what the key combination was to fill this down? Okay, it's Control plus D, as in down. So we can, instead of going up to the menu, we can just use our keys, Control and D like down. Okay, now your spreadsheet should look like this. Okay, you should have a blank row D. Blank row D. Now I want to delete that row. I want to delete that row. How do I delete that row? I mean column. I'm sorry, it's a column. How do I delete that column? Right click, absolutely. We always right click, right? When we don't know how to do something, we right click and we hope that the answer is there. If we right click here, we can see that there's a delete option. So we're going to click delete and that's going to get rid of that column. Okay, now if you look at your column headers, it has A, B, C, Q. Okay, now I don't ever remember Q coming after C. Okay, so what's happened here? Where are the other columns? Where are the other columns? There should be a D and an E and an F and a G. Right, exactly, they're hidden, okay? So in order to unhide them, we're going to click in C. We're going to drag across to Q. Okay, so basically what we've done is we've selected both columns on each side of the hidden columns. We're going to right click and we're going to choose unhide. Right click and choose unhide. Okay. And wowie zowie, look at all that. Wham bam. Okay, I bet you guys didn't know all that stuff was in there, did you? Look at all this data. What's hiding from us? All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the bottom, and what we need to do, let me check my notes here. So we used the fill down command, we populated, we deleted column D. Okay, now we're on the second part here. Look at how fast we're going through this. Isn't this amazing? To delete the column, there is a way to do it up here, and I never do it that way, so I'm not even sure of how to do it. There's a delete. I think there is a delete up here somewhere. I'm not, I'm going to be, yeah, if you hit the delete up there. Delete. Yeah, so delete sheet columns. Right. So on the home tab, I never use that. I never use that. But yeah, you're right. Okay, so on the home bar, you can click on this command right here. Thank you for bringing that up, Beverly. I appreciate that. You can click on the delete. So you can delete single cells, or you can delete whole columns. Now, notice the delete sheet rows is not selected, or is not selectable. That's because we've selected a whole column. So you can even select in one cell and then go delete and do a whole column that way. So you can delete the whole column by doing just one, clicking on just one cell. So yes, absolutely. Excellent, Beverly. Thank you. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go under the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to click in cell E28. We're going to hold the Shift key down, and we're going to select in cell P28. Okay, E28 to P28. Now, you can also do that, right? We can also do that by dragging, so we can click and drag all the way across. Okay, either way. So either click in E28 and then Shift and click in P28, or just drag starting in E28 and go to P28. Now, what we want to do is we want to add everything in these columns. Now, remember how I said that if you're doing something more than once, or if you feel like something's too hard, you're probably not doing it the best way possible. Here, we selected all those first, and now we're going to click up here in the sum. For those of you who have had algebra before, you know that the sigma designates sum. Okay, so we're just going to click on that, and what that's going to do is it's going to add all these cells together. And this adds all the cells up top. Okay, remember our format for our functions, we have sum. And then if you notice, I double-clicked in it, and it's got this little blue bar around here showing what it's adding. So it's not adding to the right, it's adding everything above it, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. So that is so perfect. Okay, and it does that on all of the cells. So it's exactly how we need it to be. See here, J, it's adding the J column. Here, it's adding the K column. We can see that by looking up in the formula bar. L, it's adding the L column, etc. Now, you probably notice I call these railroad tracks, okay, because they look like railroad tracks, right? So you see these railroad tracks. What those railroad tracks signify is that there's a number in the cell. You did it right. This is not an error, okay? It just means there's a number in the cell, but there's not enough room in the cell to show the whole number. So rather than showing you part of the number and possibly giving you the wrong impression, maybe thinking that that's the whole number when it's not, it just puts those little numbers in there, those little number signs in there to say there's a number here, but this cell just is not big enough for us. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make all of the cells the right size now. So we're going to click in column A, and we're going to drag all the way across to column P. Click in column A, and drag all the way across to column P. So I have all the columns from A to P selected. I'm going to go up onto the right side, so between the P and the Q, to the right side of my selected cells. I'm going to go to the P, between the P and the Q, so it's a bar with an arrow pointing left and an arrow pointing right, and I'm going to double click. Now, all of my cells, see now, first of all, I got rid of all my railroad tracks, right? But all of my cells now are auto-fit. Okay, so now all my cells are just the right size to hold the data that is in those cells. Okay, so again, what you're going to do is you're going to click, you're going to select all the cells that you want to auto-fit, Going to go to the right of your selection till it makes a bar with an arrow pointing left and an arrow pointing right. For any of you guys who want to know, that up and down line is called a bar. That's the technical term. It's a bar. That line up and down. It's right above your enter key. It's shift and then that key right above your enter key with your backslash on it. That's how you make it on the computer. So you can see that I can make a bar this way. See, that's a bar right there. Okay, so we're going to go up. We're going to select all the way from A to P, the columns. So we're going to select in the header to select the columns. A to P, go till it makes a bar with an arrow pointing left and an arrow pointing right. Double click to make everything fit. Okay, now we have one more thing to do. We need to do a formula and a function in the cell. Okay, so let's go look at our assignment here. See what our assignment says. Oh, we need to bold this stuff. Okay, so this bottom row here, this bottom row with the titles in it, we're going to make that bold. You can either do bold by selecting here on your home tab, or you can do Control B, as in bold, to make those bold. Okay, so all those bottom numbers are bold. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, and actually the last thing that we're going to do, okay, is up here we need to do net salary in column Q, net salary. Okay, so net salary in column Q. Now, if we look at our instructions, what it says using formulas and the sum function. Whoa, what? Formulas and the sum function? What does that mean? Well, what that means is I can create a formula using some of the functions in order to create whatever it is that I want to create. So you don't have to create the whole thing by yourself, just part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by doing a sum function. Okay, and I'm just going to do it in the cell Q3. So I'm just going to do sum. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Now you notice that sum is, when I highlight it, you notice that it's selecting all the way from E. See that blue bar? It goes all the way from E3 to P3. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start. Because I need that function in there, right? Sum. It said do that. It said do a formula using the sum function. So I know I need to have the sum function, so I'm just going to start there. Okay? So does everybody have that? You all have that? It should say equal sum E3 to P3. Okay, awesome. Now, what it says here, it says, using formulas in the sum function, calculate the net salary, which would be the salary, column E, minus all the deductions, columns F through P, which means basically I need to add all the deductions together. But look, I've added together all the way from E to P. Okay, so that means I'm adding in the salary. I don't want to add in the salary. I just want to go from F to P. Okay, so I just want to add F3 to P3. So how do I fix this so that it's adding just F3 to P3? And there's a couple ways that you can do this. How do I make it so I'm adding just F3 to P3? Excellent. We can do it very easily. We can change that E to an F. Okay, and it doesn't even have to be uppercase. Okay, just change that E to an F. Now we get the deductions, which are $76,554. Okay, I'm going to show you the other way we can do this. Okay, the other way we can do this is you can double click, and that gets you this box here. You just go and grab one of these handles. That's what those big square boxes are called. They're called handles. So you just grab one of those handles and drag it over till it just selects through F. Okay, so a couple ways you can do that. Change it to F, or you can use your handles to drag it. Okay. Now, what it said is it said the salary minus the deductions. Well, we know the deductions are $76,554.94, but the salary is $125,000. Okay, but the salary is going to be different for everybody, right? So what cell is the salary in? What cell is the salary in? Right, it's in cell E3. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into this cell right here, go up into your formula bar. Now what we want to do is we want to subtract this from E3. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here in between the sum and the equal sign. So we're going to go right after the equal sign, and we're just going to put E3 minus. Okay, so now we have E3, which is the salary, minus the sum of all the deductions, right? So this is a formula that uses the sum function. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Y'all got it? And then we're going to press enter, and you should get $48,445.06. And then what we're going to do is we need to copy that down. So we're going to click in this cell. We're going to drag all the way down to the bottom. And does anybody remember the key combination for fill down? Okay, it's Control plus D, Tanisha. Good. Control, and then we're gonna hold the Control key, and we're gonna hit the D. And what it does is it fills in all those. And notice how it fills it in correctly, right? We could have done that formula for every single one of these, right? Done it here, 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 right? But we don't have to. We don't have to, right? If we do it in each one, then we're working too hard, right? Remember, this is the program for lazy people. So if we're doing it over and over and over and over again, we're doing something wrong, okay? Because it automatically adjusts to make it work, okay? All right, when you're done, you're going to hit save. I know, right? It's so easy. So we're going to hit save. Now double check and make sure your report is still there. Okay, your report should look like it looked normally, like originally, right? Then data looks like all the changes you made in it, right? Okay, just give it one more once over to make sure it looks correct. It should look like mine. It should look like mine. If it does not look like mine, you've done something wrong and you need to fix it. Okay? Now, if you want to, you can do some formatting. Okay, and I'm just going to take 1 minute and show you some formatting. Like, for instance, you notice these are bold and centered, so you might want to bold these and center them. You don't have to. You don't have to. But if you want to, you can. Okay, if you want to, you can select them all. Let's say you select them all, and maybe you want to make them a different color. Okay, maybe you want to make the letters blue. Okay, or maybe you want to use the paint can and you want to fill in the background to a light blue. Okay, all sorts of things that you can do to make it look, you know, how you want it to look. And again, you don't have to. This is all you. But again, you're going to get as much out of this as you put into it. Okay, so just you can do whatever you want in order to, you know, make it look how you want. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You can turn it in the way the first way with no formatting changes. You most certainly can. Or you can go through and you can make formatting changes. Just like I said, the more you play with it, the more you'll get out of it. Okay? When you get this, when you go to save it and you get this minor loss of fidelity, don't worry about that. Just go ahead and continue. You're fine. Okay? Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and you can make your formatting changes. Okay? You don't have to. But if you want to, go ahead. The more you play with this, the more you'll learn, the more you will remember. Okay? Just keep that in mind. What you put in is what you get out.